Welcome, welcome, welcome to all of you for being here. Thank you so much. Many of you are classroom teachers that are actually decided to come out here even though you don't even have to be at school yet, so thank you so much. We have people here today from California, from Minnesota, from Wisconsin, which I think is really cool because it contributes more to the diversity of ideas and experiences and things that you contribute here today.
The goal of the Summer Institute for Climate Change Education is really first and foremost to build educators' comfort and confidence with teaching climate change in the classroom. Show that it's interdisciplinary, it's nonpartisan, and really create this next generation of youth that really understand this issue and are educating their parents and that are growing up with a firm understanding of this issue and its implications and how they can be involved in solutions. All of us sitting here today, we probably all can agree that climate change is one of the biggest environmental threats that we're facing. And if you're not quite sure that you feel that way, well, hopefully this institute will give you enough information and tools to realize that yes, indeed, that is the case. And our approach at the Will Steger Foundation is we recognize this is a huge problem and it takes both institutional changes and behavior changes at the individual and community level.
Climate change is a really daunting subject for people to approach. And so having organizations like ours that are working specifically on not only why it's important to do this, but how, getting to this basic idea that connecting students with the outdoors and with the environment and will grow concern for it.
I would say at this point the scientific consensus on the reality of global warming is as strong as the scientific consensus on tobacco was in the 1960s. And we knew that tobacco was harmful and the government took action against it in the 1960s. Now, here we are 40 years later, nearly 50 years. It's the same story. We have a scientific consensus, but we have a lot of reluctance to do anything about it.
I've always used a basic model in education, one that where you draw out the curiosity. The curiosity is basically the starting point, and once you have the curiosity, of course, you apply the content. It's very important to work with educators because when we're working with educators, we're working with our children, and this is our children's issue. We have a real responsibility to educate our kids on what's going on the climate. And with adults, we have this so-called debate going on, but you know, we have to teach science. There isn't any more exciting times than right now, because there's so many different things that are changing and going on. Observations that you can make now, and then 5 years later, you can compare these various observations.
I just want to stress that the word climate and the way we use it scientifically is a lot more complex than it used to be when it first started out a couple of centuries ago.
I think the educational component with respect to reaching young people through the Will Steger Foundation and the curriculum they're developing and things like that is wonderful, because the younger we can reach people and make them see how important the environment is and what consequence it may have on their lives or is already having on their lives, I think the better judges they'll be, the better citizens they'll be in terms of engaging on this as they grow older and seeing to it that the state ends up making the right decisions about preserving its natural resources and doing the right things here.
One of our core partners that has been there since the beginning has been the St. Paul Public Schools.
When an educator owns that curriculum in a certain sense and has a passion and a feeling, a real understanding about it, it changes the way they teach. When you have a passion for what you teach to a child, the child's going to be enthused. If you are, there you go.
I think the biggest challenges with educating people in regard to climate change are framing the message in such a way that we aren't using triggers that are closing doors before we've even started the discussion. So climate change and global warming have become very polarized terms. But if we talk about energy independence or energy savings or caring for the land and the water or caring for the future of our children or our health or balancing our economy and creating more resilient localized communities, those are kinds of language openers that can bring people into the conversation. And once you've developed some relationship based on language that doesn't trigger, you can move into those deeper underlying issues that are impacting it. And it's kind of dissolved that fear based on relationship again and moved into something that can move forward and actually come up with responses and solutions.
Well, educators are crucial because they're the front line. I mean, school teachers, they're meeting with children every day. Those children go home and talk to their parents. What happens in school is hugely important. And of course, teachers know how to teach. A lot of research scientists don't know how to teach, don't know how to communicate. So teachers whose job it is to teach, to communicate, who work with children, I mean, it's obviously crucial that they have good information and that we empower them.
I've been working with Will and Nicole and Will Steger Foundation for several years now, and it's just been one of the best relationships we've had. In fact, to be very honest, they sort of helped to push us into working into something that became Green Across America. The NEA is a national association with 3.2 million members. We primarily represent K-12 public school teachers, but also education support professionals, retired members, higher ed faculty, and student educators.
I'm all about the behavior change piece. And I really think that this whole idea of figuring out how you apply what we know about climate data into the classroom and how it comes out in students that know, understand, care about, and actually do something about climate change is really a powerful thing.
Teachers are incredibly important because they ramify the effect. They reach so many more people than you or I could do individually. And then I think Will's work is incredibly important because seeing is believing for most people. You know, there's a reason why explorers like Will, I mean, Will's part of a great tradition of explorers for whom the Arctic has been an important place for people to explore and live for a long, long time. So I think people intuitively grasp that the Arctic matters, even if it is far away and even if you and I will never get there.